Hi, it's Miss Elizabeth. Oh, wait a second. Look, you can see me because, I'm fully vaccinated and I'm standing 6 feet away. So there we go. Actually, you're in your house, aren't you? I knew that. You know what? I'm here in the library here downtown Rock Island, and I'm missing all of you. So I hope next summer we'll be able to be together. But for right now, I know it says it's summer, but it's actually really cold outside, and I think I'm going to put this shirt on. I mean, I know I'm wearing this dress, but I'm going to put this shirt on, and I'm going to put it on right in front of you. I mean, I don't have time to go out to the bathroom and figure out how to get dressed because I don't really want this, on top, but I can do this, right? Have you ever done this before? Have you ever gone swimming and had to get dressed at a swimming pool and you didn't have a dressing room to get dressed in? Or maybe, I don't know, I've been to the beach and I've had to figure out how to take my bathing suit off and put my clothes on. And I don't know, I just learned how to get dressed and undressed in front of people like that. Ta-da! And how is that relevant? We're going to find out. So stay tuned. Hi, so today our first lesson you're going to have in your packet, so everybody should have a packet at home, and it's the one that says Mobius Strips, and you need some paper and markers or crayons, whatever you like to mark up with, scissors and tape. And what I did was I took my paper and I already cut it into strips. So this is something that you'll need to take the time to do. I made them about 2 inches, and then we're going to be able to tape them together to make them longer. So that's something you'll have to do it. While you're watching this, you might need to pause and take time to do that. So I got some tape here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to tape my strips together just to make a longer strip. And I'm going to put tape on both sides just to make it a little more secure. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to make a circular crown. I think you all understand this. Right, we're going to have a long strip of paper. And if you already have long paper at home and you don't have to tape it together, well, that's even better. Some people have, newspaper, or they have wrapping paper. I don't know what you have at your house. But at my house, we just had regular old computer paper, or you could use scrap paper. That's the great thing about doing things at your home. So when we have this is just regular old piece of paper, and we're going to I'm going to use a crayon, and I'm choosing purple, and I'm just going to draw a line down the middle all the way around, okay? So you're going to maybe not see me do it, but I'm going to do that. And you don't have to be really perfect. That's the nice part. You're just trying to get it. And as you can see, it went all the way around like that. It's on the outside. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut it. And what do you think will happen? Well, that's a good question. So you can think about, what do you think will happen when we do this? That's what mathematicians and scientists do, right? We think about what will happen, and we take a guess. And in scientists will call that's a hypothesis. So here we go. I'm cutting it on my line, kind of down the middle as best I can. And
that yet.
All right, so what did we do? We have 2, I don't know, like little crowns, right? Or you could make it a bracelet. All right. Well, that doesn't seem so special, and in a way, it sort of isn't, but we understand that this has 2 sides of the paper. We can mark it. I can color this side, and then I could get a crayon out, and I could mark the inside. So I know there's an inside, the yellow, and there's an outside, the purple. And you could color this and see that there's an inside and an outside. I'm going to take 2 more strips of paper. So here we go. Remember, once again, if you haven't cut enough strips of paper, just pause the video and cut some more strips of paper. I'm going to tape these 2 together, just like I did the other 2, but be careful with the second taping. So watch what I'm doing. Taping these 2 just like normal to make one longer strip of paper. But this time, I'm going to put a twist before I tape it. So make sure that there is a twist in your strip of paper, because that does something a little special when you have a little twist. So we're going to see, what does putting a little twist in the paper do? Well, there we have it. Now, I'm going to use that same purple crayon that I used before. Remember when I did this? And I'm going to draw a line and see what happens. So I just put my paper strip down, and I'm going to start drawing. And I'm drawing. And like I said, it doesn't have to stay exactly in the center. Just do the best you can. And, well, oh my goodness, this is really strange, because it's, I just keep drawing. And I keep drawing. And I keep drawing. And is this happening to you at home too? Because it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. And oh, I met myself where I started. Well, that's weird. Huh. Well, you know, I'm still going to cut on my line, right? Because I put a line in the middle. I mean, it's on both sides. I guess there's, well, we'll see what happens, right? Sort of like it's only one side. So we'll cut it, and we'll see what happens. So I make a little snip, and I'm going to cut as close to down the center on my line as I can. If you don't cut exactly on the line, it's okay. You're really just trying to hit the center and see, what did we get? Well, that's, huh. When I cut it before, I got 2 loops, and this time I have this loop with a twist. You try it at home and see what yours looks like. And now we're going to go look and see what else happens when we try to cut strips of paper. All right, so when we just got done is we took and made a crown. So we're going to do that again. We're going to put 2 strips of paper together. So once again, if you didn't make a lot of strips of paper, stop and pause and just make some more strips. And I'm just going to tape this one like regular, meaning no loop, no twist. So it's fun to use so much tape. I love tape. No, you know, there we go. So see, this, don't put a twist in it. Just make it go side to edge to edge. And we put the tape on it. And this is something that even really young kids can do, and even adults can enjoy. Now this time we're going to do something a little different, and we're going to we're going to take 2 colors. So once again, I've got my handy dandy crayons, and we're going to cut it into thirds. So for those of you who are not understanding what it means to be thirds, we want there to be like 3 strips. That's what we're going for. So we're going to draw one line, not exactly in the half, and then we're going to draw another line, once again, not exactly in half. Okay? So let me see if I can get in. All right, so I'm going to do that, and you try it at home. And like I said, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, just we're going to on the outer edge. Now remember, when it was just the normal loop, we have an inside and we have an outside. When we had the Mobius strip, that was the one with the twist, we only have one side, which is kind of weird to think about. But that is a part of math called topology. And I know a lot of people are thinking, this is not math, but it actually is math. It's just not the math you learn when you're in school, like arithmetic. Like I'm sure most of you have been learning how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And if we were here, we'd be skip counting and having all kinds of fun. So maybe at home, don't forget your skip counting activities. Here we go. I'm going to cut on the purple line, and I'm going to cut on the yellow line, and we'll see what happens. What do you think happens? Remember, last time when we cut it down the middle, we got 2 loops. Do you think we're going to get, because we divided it into thirds instead of half, we're going to get 3, because third means 3. Do you think that's what will happen? Let's see. Let's try it. Okay, so I made a little snip. I'm going to cut on the purple. Oh, it's so satisfying, scissors. Yeah, look, I met myself and I got a skinnier crown. I'll put that on my head. And then I have my yellow line. And next time I should pick a crayon, maybe not yellow, because I can't hardly see that yellow line. But that's okay. Maybe you chose a different color that you can see more readily. And if you're not as fast a cutter, that's okay. Look at that! I got 3 rings, which is what we thought, right? It's thirds. 1, 2, 3. Almost equal. This one made halves, this one made thirds. And we could continue doing that. You could see how skinny you could get it, right? So it's like slicing. What happens if we do that with a Mobius strip? Okay, so how do we make a Mobius strip? Let's remember. We tape one side to the other. I like to use 2 pieces of tape. And then we're going to do what? Put in a twist. So don't forget, put in a twist and then tape. So you got to make sure there's a twist in there, because if you don't have the twist in there, you didn't make our special shape, and our special shape was called a Mobius strip. Okay, now once again we're going to remember that this is going to take a long time to draw, and it's really a little more challenging to mark the third, so I'm going to kind of mark it there. So there's my third, and then I'm going to do the same thing with my yellow. And so you can see I marked my thirds. So it's close. So I'm going to do my purple. And remember this, what we discovered the last time we did this, which is it made one really long line. So this, if you're one of my younger students and you're not the best at handling your crayons or your markers, this is maybe where you can get an older sibling or your mom or dad or aunt or uncle or grandma or somebody to help you out. But just take your time. You don't have to do it as fast as I'm trying to get it done here. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but my purple mark met up with itself. And it went all the way around, right? One line. There's not an inside, there's not an outside. There's just one side. It's the weird thing about Mobius strips. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the yellow. And stay in closer to that edge. So if you could see how imperfectly I'm doing this, some of you are going to be more careful than I am, and that's good for you. But for most of us, you just take heart. Ms. Elizabeth, she's also not the best at keeping it exactly at 1/3 all the way. And there, and my yellow met itself inside. Well, it's only one side. There is no inside or outside. Well, this time we're going to do the same thing. So remember when we cut the Mobius strip last time, it kind of stayed in this kind of weird, like longer strip, and it actually ended up looking like it had another couple bends and curves in it. So let's find out what happens with this one. So remember, it's good if you choose 2 colors that are different so you can stay on one line. And I'm staying on the line. And I hope my tape is there. I may need to put another little piece of tape there, just because I think I didn't tape it very well. And we'll keep going. And we'll keep going. And we'll keep going. And we'll keep going. And we keep going. So, oh, well, look at that. That's unusual. I'm going to just make sure this one stays taped. I didn't put enough tape on there. And then, oh, I have to cut the yellow. So what is that going to do? Go, and we're going to cut the yellow and see what happens. Tricky. surprised how long it takes to cut. Well, look at that. Oh, there, like, it's connected somehow. Look at that. So you see what happens when you do you make a Mobius strip and you divide it into thirds and see how this comes out. Now, remember at the beginning of all this, and I was like cold, and now I'm actually getting warm because there's a lot, I didn't realize there was so much energy to like cut, and I'm getting warm, so I'm gonna take off my shirt. And I know you're like, Miss Elizabeth, that's awkward, but you know, once again, you can, you know, take off your shirt from the inside, and can you figure out how this sort of has anything to do with Mobius strips? Because we're really thinking about how do tubes and sidedness have anything to do with what we're doing with math, right? So we're going to look at, and I got a lot of hair here. There we go. Take it off, and there, a lot cooler now because we have one more Mobius surprise. So stick around. All right, for this one, you need a sheet of paper and a ruler and a pencil. So one of the things I think is really important in math is being able to measure. So a standard sheet of paper is 8.5 by 11 inches. So here's my ruler, and we can see that it's at 8.5. And what I want to do is I'm going to draw a big plus sign. And I'm going to use my ruler to help me draw my big plus sign so that it, you know, is symmetrical. So I start at 8.5. This is here. And what I want to do is I want my plus sign in the middle to be about 2.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in 3 inches on either side because 8.5 minus 3 is 5.5. And then you minus 3 again and you'll get 2.5. So that means if I take in 3 on each side, I'll have 2.5 in the center. So if I'm at 8.5, I go to 7.5, that's 1 inch. I go to 6.5, that's 2 inches. And then I just go to 6, and I go, well, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I go to 7.5, 6.5, and 5.5. So I make my little mark at that point, and then I come over here. So that's 3 inches. And then I come over here, and I mark 3 inches. And if you come back, you can notice, did I get about 2.5 in the center? And yes, I did. So that's what I want to do. Is that's my marking for my paper there. And I'm going to then turn my paper this way, and I'm going to measure it to 11. Now, I want 2.5 inches in the center again. So I'm going to take away from either side and leave 2.5 in the center. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what is half of 11? So if I cut 10 in half, that's 5. And if I cut 1 in half, that's half. So I need 5.5. So I'm going to mark 5.5 on my ruler. So I make a little mark there. And then I put my finger here and I think, okay, that's a half. And I said I want it to be 2.5. So this would be 1 over here. If I go to the 6.5, from 5.5 to 6.5 is 1. And from 5.5 to 4.5 is another 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. And now I need another half. And for those of you who don't know, if you take a half and you cut it in half, you get 1/4 or a quarter. So we're going to mark that. So a quarter is halfway between half and another number. So I'm going to mark it right here. So that's that marking. It'll be 6 3/4 for those of you older kids who know how to read your ruler better. And over here, I'm going to go from my 4.5 and I'm going to go towards 4, another 1/4 of an inch. So this is, I make my big markings here because that tells me that's my middle. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come here and I say, okay, this is kind of where I see this marking here, And I just move this marking here, and I'm going to come here, and I'm like, all right, I can use my ruler to kind of help me figure this out. And then, well, I'm going to come here and mark this, and then just bring that line down. Okay, so how am I going to do this is I'm going to mark this and make kind of a, we'll see when I do it. And then here, we're not going to cut there. We're just going to, I just have it there, and we're going to actually, if you can see this, this is my shorter side and this is my longer side, and in the middle of this is 2.5. We're going to measure about 1 1/4. So I put that right about there, and I'm going to take my marker, and like I said, this doesn't have to be exact, and I'm going to draw a line down the center. All right, and then on this longer side, I am going to take and measure about 1/3 of each way. So remember, this is about 2.5, and here's the thing. You can just sort of eyeball 1/3. It doesn't have to be exact. So what I mean by that is I might just kind of come in here and say, all right, I cut that into 3 pieces pretty equally, and then I'm going to use my ruler to sort of help me, and I'll get a different color marker, and I'm going to draw the lines, and I'm making it dotted across here just so I can see that. And then I come to the other marking. Like I said, it doesn't have to be exact. We're good with that. I know there's some of you out there who are going to be really good at measuring and getting it just so. All right, so at this point we're going to cut out the plus sign shape. So here we go, the plus sign. So don't cut those lines that I drew there in the center. So it's like I cut out a rectangle there, and I cut out another rectangle here. We have so many math words, so many, there's rectangles. Rectangles make right angles. They're quadrilaterals with 2 parallel sides and 4 right angles. Those of you who've been in math club before, some of you know what some of that is. And some of you are like, what are you talking about, Miss Elizabeth? And then that just gives you something to look up. All right, so here's what we've made, and this is what we're going to do. We are going to tape this, the short side to the short side, and we're going to not put a loop in it. So this would be like the crowns, right? We're just going to put a big piece of tape right there. And actually, I kind of like to have a little insurance to do it on the inside as well. Okay, so at this point you have this taped as a regular loop. Now this is going to be the little tricky part, is we need this one to be a Mobius strip. So what does it take to be a Mobius strip? We have to have a little curve in it, right? We have to have a little loop in it. So notice that because we can see with the way we've done the colors, one side is going to tape over to a side that hasn't been marked. And make sure you tape, you know what, like what I learned from when I cut it before is I need to put more tape on there. It's a learning curve for all of us. Okay, so see, we have one that's taped like a normal loop and one that's taped like a Mobius strip. And so here's the big question. What do we think will happen when we cut these on their lines, right? So that's the big question. So let's take a pause for a second. All right, so remember we have one side is a plain loop and one side is a twisted loop. So on the twisted, you have to cut the twisted loop first. If you don't cut the twisted loop first, I don't think it's going to work. So remember, cut on the twisted side first, okay? So here we go. Are you ready? We're going to give this a shot. So remember, it's a little tricky because we have to sort of start in the middle. So we kind of make a little snip like that, and then we stick our scissors inside that hole, and we cut along that orange. That's tricky. Cut along the orange, that little highway, and it is hard. Boy, if you're one of the younger kids, you might need to get your older sibling or parent to help you, because I wish I could ask my parent to, well, you know, I wish somebody would come help me cut this. This is a little tricky to cut. All right, here we go. I'm staying on my orange line the best I can, especially because it's only on one, you know, it's not on, you can't see it all the way around. All right, well, I think I did it. I think it's all cut. And now I'm going to go cut the pink. And look at that. Who knew? That's math. It's topology. We're doing Summer Math Club with Miss Elizabeth. Come back next week and find out more about topology.